Okay, so today we're diving into something I think a lot of our listeners are really into wine.
Yeah.
And more specifically, how we can all kind of up our game when it comes to actually tasting and appreciating it, really understanding what's in the glass. You sent over some really interesting stuff, especially about the 5 pillars of sensory analysis, which we're going to dig into.
Yeah, those are key.
So our goal today is to kind of give everyone listening some tools to move beyond just like basic, I like this or I don't like this, and really get into, understanding the quality, the style, the unique characteristics that make each wine what it is.
Exactly. It's about going deeper than just, swirling and sniffing, though that's obviously part of it.
Right.
But yeah, it's about understanding what creates that whole sensory experience, what makes a wine what it is.
I love it. So from what you sent over, it seems like the key to all this is understanding those 5 pillars you mentioned. Complexity, intensity, typicidad, I think that's how you say it, which is like the typicity.
Yeah, that's it.
Then we have equilibrium or balance, and finally, persistence.
That's the framework, yeah.
It sounds like if you can get a handle on these 5 things, you're well on your way to being a much more informed taster, right?
Absolutely. They're the foundation of any kind of serious wine evaluation. They help you move past just your gut reaction to a wine and actually engage with it, analyze it, and ultimately enjoy it so much more.
Okay, let's start with complexity then. From what I've read, this is basically the opposite of a wine being simple, right?
Exactly.
It's not just 1 or 2 things you're tasting. It's this whole layered, evolving thing. So how do we actually go about evaluating that complexity? Like, what are we looking for specifically?
Well, it starts with noticing the range of aromas. And I mean, we're talking beyond just fruits. Of course, those are there. You might pick up floral notes, spices, maybe even hints of minerals or herbs, depending on the wine.
Okay.
But it's more than just identifying a bunch of different smells. A truly complex wine will have aromas that change as it sits in the glass, as it breathes. And then you have tertiary notes, which are huge for complexity.
Tertiary notes.
These are the things that develop over time as a wine ages, like leather, tobacco, sometimes even mushroomy qualities.
Wow, that's getting pretty specific. In the stuff you sent, there were a few wines known for having these really intricate profiles. Burgundy Red, Barolo, German Riesling.
Oh, yeah, those are classics.
So we're not talking just like red fruit or white fruit here.
No, not at all. These wines can develop such an amazing range of aromas and flavors with age. Like take a well-aged Barolo, for example.
Right.
Made with a Nebbiolo grape. It can start with those bright cherry notes when it's young, but then over years, it can get these deeper aromas of tar, roses, even a touch of truffle sometimes.
Really?
It's amazing. And it's all because of how the wine evolves. A lot of it has to do with chemical reactions happening slowly in the bottle, like esterification and oxidation.
So basically, for those listening, understanding complexity means knowing that each sip of a complex wine could be a little bit different. It's not just this static thing. It keeps unfolding and showing you new things. It's almost like listening to a favorite song over and over again and noticing new details, new layers in the music.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. And it makes you slow down and really pay attention when you're tasting, which is the whole point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to intensity. So as I understand it, this is just about how strong the aromas and flavors are, right?
Yeah, basically.
It's like the volume level of the wine.
Exactly. And there are 2 sides to it. Aromatic intensity, which is how strong those smells are when you first bring the glass to your nose, and then gustatory intensity, which is how strong the flavors hit your palate.
Okay.
You could have a wine that's super aromatic, but then tastes quite delicate. Or the other way around. Or it could be intense on both fronts.
I see. Now, the stuff you mentioned, grape variety, climate, and winemaking techniques all play a role in intensity, which makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
Like if you have a grape that's known for big flavors, grown in a really sunny place, and made with minimal intervention, that's probably going to be a pretty intense wine.
Right.
So to give some concrete examples, you have something like Cabernet Sauvignon from a warm California region, which is often full of these concentrated dark fruit flavors and can really pack a punch on the palate.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then you contrast that with, say, a Pinot Noir from a cooler climate, which will generally be lighter bodied.
Exactly. Or you could think about Syrah from the Rhone Valley, known for its intense dark fruit and peppery spice.
Those are all great examples.
And then on the aromatic side, you have something like Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, which is often super vibrant and intense with those grapefruit and passion fruit aromas.
So intensity isn't necessarily a marker of quality on its own, but it definitely shapes the experience. And it can have practical implications, especially when it comes to pairing with food.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you're not going to serve a really delicate wine with a super rich dish, are you?
No, you want something that can stand up to those flavors.
Exactly. So intensity is something to keep in mind when choosing a wine for a meal.
It's all about balance. You don't want a wine that completely overwhelms the food, but you also don't want it to disappear next to it.
Right, makes sense. Okay, let's talk about typicidad. I think for people who haven't heard this term before, it might be helpful to just explain what it means. It's basically about how well a wine expresses the typical characteristics we expect from that grape variety and its place of origin, its terroir.
Yeah, it's like the wine's ID card. It's saying, this is what I am, this is where I'm from.
So we're talking about recognizing those signature elements of both the grape and the land it's grown on.
Exactly.
Like if you have a Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux, you'd expect to get those classic blackcurrant aromas.
Right.
Or if you have a Sauvignon Blanc, especially from certain regions, you might get those herbaceous notes. And then when it comes to terroir, you have things like those mineral notes in wines grown on limestone.
Yes, that minerality is often linked to the soil.
And then cooler climates can lead to those earthy undertones.
It's all fascinating stuff. The soil composition and the climate actually influence the chemical compounds in the grapes, which then translates to what you taste in the glass.
That's amazing. The materials you sent over gave some great examples of wines that really expressed their typicity. Chianti Classico with its Sangiovese cherry notes and earthiness, Sancerre with that flinty minerality along with the Sauvignon Blanc fruit, and even Vinho do Porto with its rich, fortified style and dark fruit.
All classic examples.
It's like each of those wines is a direct reflection of where it comes from.
That flinty character in Sancerre, for example, is very specific to the soil in that part of the Loire Valley. So you're literally tasting the land.
Wow, that's so cool. So what I'm getting is that understanding typicity is kind of like being a wine detective.
It is.
You learn to identify the clues that tell you about the grape and the place, and it just makes the whole experience richer.
Right. It connects you to that place, to a winemaking tradition that might go back hundreds of years.
Exactly. It adds this whole other layer of appreciation. All right, let's get to the heart of it. Equilibrium, or balance. So this is all about how the different components of the wine work together, right?
Exactly.
We're talking about the acidity, the sweetness, the tannins in red wines, and the alcohol. It's like all the ingredients in a recipe have to be in the right proportions.
It's a perfect analogy. You don't want any one element to overpower the others.
So in a balanced wine, you have the acidity that provides freshness.
Right. It keeps it from being too heavy.
Even in dry wines, you can still sense that acidity.
Absolutely.
And then if there is sweetness, it should be balanced by enough acidity so it's not cloying.
Exactly.
And in reds, the tannins provide structure and texture.
But they shouldn't be harsh or astringent. It should be this pleasant mouthfeel.
Right, and the alcohol contributes to the body and warmth, but again, it shouldn't be overwhelming.
It's all about harmony. Everything working together. And a lot of this comes down to the winemaker's choices, like blending different grapes or adjusting acidity during fermentation.
So how do we actually evaluate balance?
It's about looking for that sense of integration. Nothing should stick out too much. Everything should feel like it belongs.
Okay.
Pay attention to how the acidity makes your mouth water, how sweetness feels on your tongue, the texture of the tannins, the warmth of the alcohol. It should all feel like it's in proportion, contributing to the whole picture.
Got it. So some examples of wines known for their balance, according to what you sent, are red Bordeaux, Burgundy Chardonnay, and German Riesling, again.
Yeah, all great examples.
Seems like balance is a real sign of quality winemaking.
Absolutely. It takes skill to bring all those elements together. Like in a good red Bordeaux, you often find this beautiful balance of dark fruit, firm but well-integrated tannins, and just the right amount of acidity. Or think about a classic Burgundy Chardonnay with its rich fruit, vibrant acidity, and subtle oak influence. And then even a Cabernet Riesling from Germany can have this lovely balance of sweetness, high acidity, and lower alcohol.
I'm getting thirsty just thinking about it. So for our listeners, why is understanding balance so important? I mean, besides just being enjoyable to drink, it also has to do with food pairing, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A well-balanced wine is usually more versatile with food because no single element's going to clash with the flavors of the dish.
Makes sense. Okay, last but not least, we have persistencia or persistence. This is all about how long the flavors linger after you swallow.
Exactly. It's like the wine's final impression, it's encore.
I love that
Yeah.
analogy. So it's not just about how long the flavors stay, but also the quality of that aftertaste.
Yeah, you want it to fade gracefully, leave a nice memory behind.
So are we literally timing how many seconds it lasts?
Well, you are paying attention to the duration, but also the intensity of those lingering flavors. And a longer persistence is often a sign of quality and aging potential, according to what you sent me.
Interesting.
It's like the flavors slowly fade away, maybe even reveal something new as they do.
Hmm. Some wines known for their long finish are Barolo, Brunello di Montalcino, and Vigno do Porto, which are all pretty serious
Oh
wines.
yeah, those are the heavy hitters. They
Yeah.
have a lot of concentration and structure, so those flavors can hang on for a long time, sometimes even 30 seconds or more.
Wow.
It's definitely a sign of complexity and depth.
So, to sum it up for our listeners, a wine with good persistence just makes for a more satisfying and memorable experience. It's that final note that resonates.
Exactly, it ties everything together.
Now, one thing that really stood out from the materials you sent is that these five pillars aren't separate from each other, they're all intertwined.
Oh, for sure.
So, it's not just about checking boxes, right?
Not at all. It's about how they all come together to create the overall experience.
Like, a wine could have tons of intensity, but not much complexity, or it could be balanced, but the flavors fade really quickly.
Right.
But the truly special wines, they hit it out of the park on multiple levels.
They excel in several of these areas, if not all of them.
So it's not just about identifying each element, it's about understanding how they all work together to create the whole picture.
Exactly. And developing your palate to recognize these five pillars will help you do just that.
All right, so there you have it, everyone. Complexity, intensity, typicity, equilibrium, and persistence. These are your new tools for exploring the world of wine. Hopefully, this gives you a framework to approach tasting in a new way and really get the most out of every bottle you open.
I think so. And remember, the stuff I sent you even had some exercises you can try.
Oh, yeah, those are great.
Like you can work on building your aroma memory, do side-by-side tastings to compare different wines,
Mm.
even try some blind tastings.
So, to leave everyone with something to think about, now that you've got this framework, try applying it to other things besides wine.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, think about coffee or food or even music.
Hmm.
How would analyzing complexity, intensity, typicity, balance, and persistence change how you experience those things? Because at the end of the day, this deep dive into wine evaluation is really about tuning into your senses and experiencing the world in a richer way. Cheers to that.